Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut is an alternate history novel taking place during the Cold War, sometime in the 60s or 70s. The novel begins by introducing the main character and narrator, John, or as he prefers to be called, Jonah, and his current project, to write a book called The Day the World Ended about the scientists and politicians behind the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and what they were doing the day the bomb dropped. The book is written in the past tense as an account of what Jonah experiences as he tries to unravel the mystery of Dr. Felix Heinecker. Dr. Heinecker is credited as being the father of the atomic bomb, and his research granted him a Nobel Prize in Physics. Jonah writes to the youngest son of Felix, Newton, to try to get his account of what happened that day. Newton replies that he was only a child, but remembers seeing his father, after days at work in his office at home, playing with a cat's cradle, seemingly unaware of what his work had just caused. Newt is frightened by his father's strange behavior and runs away crying. About a year later, Jonah decides to travel to Ilium, New York, home of the Heineckers, in order to get past his writer's block, currently halting his progress in the novel. Jonah talks to several locals and learns that the Heinecker family was bizarre. Newt was a midget, the middle son Franklin was a quiet, strange child who left for good once his mother had died, and Angela, the oldest, was a 6-foot-tall musician who became the mother of the family after their mother's death. However, it was Felix himself who was the strangest of the family. He worked for days on end and was often so engrossed in his work that he forgot to eat. Angela often had to remind him to eat and bathe during this time. Jonah then meets with Dr. Breed, the director of the lab where Felix had worked. Dr. Breed gives Jonah an example of Felix's attitude towards work. A general of the army once asked Felix to work on eliminating mud from battlefields as it bogged down the troops. Felix became obsessed with this idea, as with many ideas he had had in the past, and worked in secret on a solution. Dr. Breed claims that no solution was ever found, but that Felix had been close to completion when he died suddenly. Unbeknownst to the two, Dr. Felix had created a solution, Ice 9. Ice 9 is a type of seed crystal that made water into ice at room temperature by rearranging its crystal lattice. Dr. Felix took the only crystal in existence to his house, where he accidentally exposed himself to it, freezing his entire body. His children found him in a bit of crystal left over in a kitchen pot where he was experimenting. They realized the implications of this substance, and Felix had often rambled on about its power, so they took the remaining sample and divided it amongst themselves, never to tell anybody about its existence. At this point, Jonah leaves Ilium, only to be reassigned to interview the Castle family, owners of a hospital on the Caribbean island of San Lorenzo. While at his house, he sees an ad for the hotel on the island, with none other than Franklin, standing next to the president of the island, Papa Manzano. Jonah feels that it's his fate to travel there, to talk to the missing son who was previously thought dead. On the journey, the plane makes a stop in Puerto Rico, where both Newt and Angela Heinecker board the plane. This twist of fate finally sets in when Jonah learns of Bokononism, the forbidden religion of San Lorenzo, headed by their ousted founder, Bokonon. The ideals of Bokononism say that the people whose lives revolve around a singular point are fated to meet at some point. Could it be fate that was pulling both Jonah and the Heineckers all together on this mysterious island? So the plane lands on the island, and the passengers are greeted by the president himself, Franklin, and his soon-to-be wife, Mona. The president gives a short speech, but collapses, clearly near death. The passengers are brought to the hotel, where Jonah is called by Franklin to meet him at his house atop the waterfall on the island. Before Frank arrives, though, Jonah finds the other two Heineckers with mysterious thermoses. Before Jonah can figure out what was going on, Frank arrives and takes him to a secret meeting place under the waterfall. Once there, Frank begs Jonah to take presidency of the island once Papa dies. Frank himself is too shy and does not have the proper social skills to lead an island of people. After being told that if he takes the job he'll be able to marry Mona, Jonah accepts. Jonah and company spend the night at Frank's house, and in the morning travel to the president's seaside castle, where a dying Papa Manzano waited for Franklin. Papa Manzano is read his last rites by a Catholic priest, but at the last minute reveals that he is actually a Bokonist. Jonah then goes to the roof of the castle to prepare his inauguration speech and to celebrate the day of 100 martyrs. However, Jonah suffers from food poisoning and re-enters the castle looking for a bathroom. He comes across the body of Papa Manzano, covered in what appears to be frost. Jonah then realizes that Ice 9 is in fact real, and that somehow Papa Manzano had come into possession of a sample of it. The Heineckers arrive and quickly help him to decontaminate the room, removing all traces of the substance. However, Papa's body is left in the room as it will be dealt with after the ceremonies. Jonah returns to the roof of the castle and to look out at the approaching air show. One plane suddenly bursts into flames and crashes into the cliff below the castle, sending half the structure into the sea. Jonah looks over the edge just in time to see Papa's body fall into the ocean, instantly freezing all water and lakes and streams that connected to it. This was the beginning of the apocalypse. Any life that survived was dead within a week. San Lorenzo was created to be a utopia by its two founders, Bokonon and the deserted Marine, but because such a thing can never exist, the project failed and the Marine took control, ousting Bokonon to the jungle. The point is made that good cannot exist without evil, and that the Marine represents evil and that Bokonon represents good. Bokonism only exists because the country has outlawed it, thus giving it a reason to thrive, thus literally meaning good cannot exist without the evil tyranny of the government. All people on San Lorenzo follow Bokononism. Its ideals of a simple yet cynical life banks on destiny bringing events to fruition. Bokononism is not only referred to throughout the book, but its ideals are what pushes Jonah to do what he does. Despite being a disclaimer on the first page of the Holy Bible reading, all of the true things that I'm about to tell you are shameless lies. Another recurring theme throughout the novel is Jonah's stand on scientists. Scientists are referred to many times as being cold and heartless and immoral, and Felix's apathy toward anything but his own work helps reinforce this idea. Also, it was science that created the morally questionable atom bomb and Ice 9, tempting the reader to reject science as a good thing. Vonnegut uses this book to comment on aspects of the developing society of the 60s, how technology was racing forward, perhaps faster than man could even control. With new inventions such as atom bombs, missiles, and rockets, mankind was creating technology faster than it knew what to do with. Without wondering about the implications of such inventions, science raced onward. Ice 9 is a creation by Vonnegut to show us that one day mankind may in fact create something that has the potential to ruin the entire world as we know it. Additionally, Bokononism, despite being called a religion, is really a satire on all religions. A book written by a pivotal figure is able to influence a large population of individuals. Bokononism was created to unite the people of San Lorenzo, in an attempt to create the utopia its founders foresaw. All in all, Cat's Cradle is a cautionary tale, warning us of the dangers of society growing in size and knowledge faster than what its people are capable of handling. Is it humanity's destiny to grow beyond the earth, or is it our fate to die in a man-made apocalypse of our worst nightmares?